I don't know about you, but I haven't been able to think about anything except Kendrick Lamar's historic halftime performance at Super Bowl 59 since Sunday evening. I am obsessed. And honestly, I'm not even mad about it. And since this is my podcast and I usually talk about whatever's on my mind here, this week I'm talking about Kendrick Lamar. Now, in case you're not up to speed, Kendrick Lamar is a very talented rap artist and performer who just had the best week ever, and he's kind of a big deal. Last Sunday, he took home 5 Grammys, making him the 3rd most decorated rapper in history. And then this past Sunday, he made history as the first solo rapper to headline the Super Bowl halftime show. Back in 2018, he made history as the first rapper to ever win a Pulitzer Prize for the album that he dropped that year. So yeah, in terms of hip hop, he's like a heavyweight. And I was very impressed with his performance. It was so good. It was just rich with so much imagery and symbolism, and it was incredibly moving. And it was, I think, one of the best performances in Super Bowl history. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. In fact, there are a lot of conversations happening online right now about everything that was inside Kendrick Lamar's performance. And don't worry, that's not what this episode is about. There are enough think pieces happening on the interwebs for me to add to that conversation. But today, I want to share with you what Kendrick Lamar's performance taught me about perfectionism and Black excellence. Why? Because it's February, so it's Black History Month. And because I'm a Black woman who strives for excellence and also struggles with perfectionism. And also, I know I'm not the only one who has that story. So if you're a Black woman, lean in. If you're a supporter of Black women, take notes. And if you happen to love a Black woman, send her the link to this episode because it's good. And if you share this with her, it will let her know that you love her and are thinking of her. All right, ready? Let's go. Good day, good people. Welcome back to episode 91 of the Life Edit Project podcast. As always, I'm your favorite life coach and podcast host, Coach Elizabeth. And whether you're a longtime listener or someone who just found me, I am glad you're here rocking with me. I don't talk much about current events on this show. So when something like a musical performance hits my radar and I'm fired up enough to talk about it here, you know it's special. So I'm really excited for this conversation. But first, a quick announcement. You know how I've done a few Ask Me Anything episodes in the past? Well, I want to do more of that. So if you've got a question, if you want my perspective on something that's happening in your life, or if you need help tackling a sticky situation or making a decision that feels really confusing, my inbox is open to you. And this time there are no deadlines. Of course, no purchases necessary. Just ask me anything. So if you've got a question and about 2 minutes, use the link that's in the show notes to drop me a line. And whenever I get an interesting question, I'll respond here on the show. Okay, that's for you. All right, let's get into this topic of the week. So Kendrick Lamar delivered a powerful, impressive halftime performance at the Super Bowl that I think was the embodiment of Black excellence. And that's not up for debate, and I'm not going to try to convince you that I'm right. I'll just say that the artistry, the execution, and the intentionality behind that production was extraordinary. Even if you didn't like it, even if you are not a fan of his music or of rap in general, if you can see it for what it is, you have to respect it. Excellence was absolutely achieved. And because he did all of this from his position as a heavyweight of hip hop, which is, by the way, an inherently Black art form, and he did all of this during Black History Month in front of a sitting president that is actively working to undo the laws and policies that protect our civil rights and prevent racial discrimination, all of that makes his performance an act of protest. And that makes his performance Black excellence, not just regular excellence, but Black excellence. Chef's kiss. So the Black woman in me, the poet and the musician in me just ate it up. I could not get enough. And the life coach in me today is inspired because I know that Kendrick Lamar could never have done what he did if he allowed himself to be derailed by perfectionism. And I know this because there are two big differences between being driven by perfectionism versus Black excellence. And I want to talk to you about what those two differences are. So the first one is that perfection drives you to try to get it right, whereas excellence challenges you to discover what's possible. This is so good. So perfectionism is going to drive you to pick the right path, to make the right choice, to make the right move, to do things the right way, and to project the right image, all so that you can get whatever you think you need to feel accepted and validated. And honestly, this is behind a lot of the perfectionism that affects Black women. We feel all of this pressure to get it right because we've learned that there is no room for error for the Black woman in this society. We've been explicitly taught that we have to be objectively superior at what we do just to be seen as qualified. And so we take our success very seriously. So yeah, it makes sense that we often chase perfection. But the catch here is that perfection is usually the obstacle that's in the way of our greatness. Whereas excellence, on the other hand, excellence is the path that leads to greatness and to greater levels of success. And excellence isn't about doing things right in order to be accepted. Excellence is about authenticity and expression, and Black excellence is also about joy and freedom, and chasing all of those things yields better results every single time, and that's exactly what we saw from Kendrick Lamar's performance. If he had been worried about delivering the most acceptable, the most palatable performance, the result would have been extremely mid. He would have chosen maybe a more popular playlist instead of an impactful one. And maybe he would have invited some popular artists who have top 40 hits to share the stage with him because they would have sang songs that the audience could sing along to. Maybe it would have been more entertaining, but then nobody would be studying his show and unpacking the layers and layers of symbolism and meaning and debating all of the different ways to interpret the game controller motif and what the red, white, and blue really meant, right? We wouldn't have any of that. Perfectionism isn't a path. It's a narrow, suffocating hallway that just leads to a cage. But excellence is a field of possibilities. It's expansive, and it makes so much more success available to you. The second difference here is that perfectionism drives you to protect the success that you've already achieved, while excellence drives you to create success on your own terms wherever you are. Now, this one is more subtle, but this is really important. A lot of us, especially as Black women, we hesitate to let go of perfectionism because somewhere deep down we really think that the perfectionism is helping us. We think it's a tool. We feel like our perfectionism is a security blanket. It's familiar, and we have all of this evidence that it's our perfectionist tendencies that are behind all of our success. You worked really hard in school to graduate in the top 2% of your class, so you keep doing that. And now you're overworking constantly at work because that's what you know how to do to stay on top. Or you have planned every social function and every vacation you've taken down to the minute, and you believe that that's the reason you've got all the stamps on your passport and coordinating family photos for every holiday. And so you continue to overplan every detail of your life. But again, even though it feels like the way to guarantee success, perfectionism is really just a sparkly cage. It traps you into showing up in a particular way, and you end up missing out on the magic of discovering what you're capable of creating when things fall apart or when things don't go according to the plan. But Black excellence is not worried about protecting your current success. It's not afraid of breaking things because it knows that you can repurpose the shattered pieces of your life into creating something new and different and more beautiful than what you started with. Kendrick Lamar, when he got on that stage for Super Bowl 59, he was not worried about putting on a fun show because that's what most people want from their halftime show. He wasn't focused on turning his 19 minutes into a giant diss track against Drake, even though, yeah, he did give us a little bit of They Not Like Us, right? If you were not entertained by his show, it's because he wasn't trying to entertain you. He was trying to engage you and inform you and inspire you and to evoke something deep within you to move. He wasn't trying to avoid backlash and criticism. He was willing to let it break in order to pursue his vision. And what he ended up creating was a level of Black excellence that is often not on display at that scale in America. And I, for one, am glad he did it. So my question for you is, what if you were willing to release the success you have now to make room for a type of success that you can't even imagine? What unique type of success and beauty and excellence could you create if you weren't focused solely on maintaining the version of success that you've been programmed to strive for? My friend, if you've been feeling stifled by perfectionism, excellence is right there waiting for you and it's available to you. If you're ready to redefine success on your own terms, I'm here to support you and to help you find your own path forward with my one-on-one coaching program. To get started, book a call with me and let's talk about what Black excellence can look like for you in your life. The link to get on my calendar is in the show notes as always, and I cannot wait to talk to you. All right. Thanks for indulging my obsession with K.Dot's halftime show. I think I've got it out of my system now. So I will be back in your ears next week with another fresh, juicy, non-Kendrick Lamar related episode. Although I cannot promise that Black excellence will not be on the menu. Okay. That's all for now. I will see you next time. Until then, peace.